What's up guys, this is Shannon and welcome back to the iherng podcast. And since we went heavy, well, a little bit more heavy on the previous episode on data, then we spoke about HPI and whether is it a good time now to buy a property, right? If you have missed the previous episode, go check it out. And for those who have attended the previous jam session is the name I call for our gatherings. So every now and then, quite sudden, I will just announce, hey, this Sunday you guys free on Thursday. Then if you guys can come, then we jam about properties. It will be a full Q&A kind of event. It depends on my schedule because if that week got people FFK me, then I will just organize one event. And during the last jam, I kind of promised everybody that I will be doing this exact data presentation. Okay, for those who are not sure, the Makeover Guys team is the company that helps customers with fully furnishings for investment purposes, for own stay purposes. Since I've been with them for the longest time, they started as a solution for property investors. As a result, they have this separate arm called Cozy Homes, where they are responsible to help manage and rent out units for their existing customers who fully furnish their units. What's even more cool here then will be the available rental rates. That's why I absolutely love where I am right now. Every week on the table, on the report, there will be the latest projects acquired, latest projects completed, latest rental data, and I got to check them for reviews. So it's just that perfect playground for property enthusiasts like me, where on one side you will know which project site is the best for own stay, which project site is the best for investment. Then when you do this enough times, right, you kind of see a pattern already. We are now in September. Let's look at the data that we got from our August operations, okay? So this is the raw data format. I'll furnish it later, but the amount of projects that we have just gotten mainly is still like Central Residences, Izora, Sunway Velocity, Sunway Belfield, M Vertica is still hot, The Oak is still hot. Well, we got a landed home in Gamuda Gardens, that's nice. And the data is even shocking though. Anyway, then we have the Tropica, we have Meta City, Solaris Dutamas, and I've arranged in a sequence, and let's list out the top 5 highest ROI project within the units that the Makeover Guys has furnished. So within this video, I've inserted the top 10 projects that we have. Sitting on number 1 itself, it's a surprise for everybody who don't really understand real estate that much. I still remember when we went and visit, it was new. It was labeled as the Kowloon of Cheras. But guess what? In terms of ROI, it's the highest at 7.85%. Well, there's 2 entry to it. So the sizes that we got is the 850 square feet one, and on number 5 is the 1000 square feet one. So here, the 850 square feet ones performs better in terms of ROI. And for those who are a little bit more obsessed about data, the ROI here already includes the current selling price of the property. Current, not whenever they got the project. So it means it's going to be higher. This is the moment when if you were to buy today and you furnish with the Makeover Guys, because the cost is by us, you can still get a return of 7.85%. In other words, if you were to minus off your installment, assuming you take 35 years loan at 4% interest, after minusing your maintenance, you will still have 1,000 ringgit surplus if you have bought the 850 square feet one today and fully furnishing it under the Makeover Guys specifications. Awesome, right? Then coming number 2 will be Skyvogue at 7.2%. So this one is pretty similar as well. Current selling price plus the cost of fully furnishing, you add together and you use the rental rates to divide by it, that's the rental yield of 7.2%. So if you minus your full installment, you minus your maintenance, you still get about 700 to 800 ringgit every single month. Positive cash flow. And at number 3 will be Tryon 2, the 660 square feet one at 6.72%. Just to mention a few also, Meta City is pretty hot. Meta City, it's 6.86%. It's pretty underrated because it's within a location that is pretty far away, like Sri Kembangan. Not many people take notice. But if you think about it, right, at that price, considerable a TOD, but it's not a TOD, like you need to walk about 3 to 4%. We have reviewed the project before. It looks amazing. And if the mall next door really does happen, don't know what's the plan yet, even without the mall, it's already at 6.8%. Imagine if the mall really does happen. Ooh. So in terms of percentage, at what rate should be the target of yield for our rent to actually cover our installment every single month? So if you were to think about every 100,000, the loan amount will be about 450 bucks. So if the whole year, then it will be 5,400. So in other words, it means a 5.4% is the rate for break even. Okay, if you want to include more maintenance on it, I would suggest about 6%. And this is in the condition where you are taking 35 years loan at 4% interest. If you are not as young anymore, then the yield needs to be different in accordance to your expectations. That's why it's easier to always start investing earlier, because you get to pull and leverage the most. But actually 30 years also not too bad lah, compared to those who are taking like 15 years loan, right? Wow, that one susah. And within this list, a few observations lah, right? I think the projects that we often get comments about too high dense, right? It needs to be studied one step or several steps deeper. It's very, very important to see where the project is located. So I've just checked out M. Arisa lately. The review will come out soon. In terms of furnishing, in terms of experience, in terms of value, I think it's amazing. And when we look into M. Vertica, the amount of comments reminds me of that project. A lot of people hate on it, hate and hate and hate, but it's one of the best investment properties available in the market today. Meta City gets the same comment. Sky Vogue gets the same comment. The Hinge gets the same comment. So if given a choice, would you pick a high density or a low density project? Of course, I will pick a low density one lah. But that's provided you can afford the price. So when you have a lot of high density projects, right, it's very, very important to also look beyond the low price. Ultimately, why people want to build high density projects is because they want to lower down the selling price. But not all high density projects will do well. Location still matters. Then what's interesting also, we are seeing a lot of like own stay yet partially with investment intent kind of projects like the Tropica. This one, if you know, you know. Again, these are based on the current selling price available in Property Guru website. If you were to buy today and you furnish it, you compare that to the rental rates, right? You still get about 5.5%. So let's just pull out again, like for the Tropica, the latest transacted price for the Makeover Guys unit is 5,500. And it's not the highest. I have a friend who just rented a unit for 6,000 per month. The Tropica in Bukit Jalil. Amazing rates. And whatever that was predicted might be true. So years ago, I kind of predicted that this might be one of the main locations that is turning into a tier 1 kind of location, where you will have steady rents, apartment units above 5,000, you will have a lot of expats, you will have a lot of international school, a lot of business for the expat crowds. But at the same time, this is also rather contradicting because you see a lot of supply that is coming up lah. So it really depends on which Bukit Jalil area that you're looking at. Then a special highlight will be Gamuda Gardens. Gamuda Gardens, our unit was rented out at 5,007 leh. Wow! Referring back to the previous video of the comparison between landed and high-rise, right? The high-rise graph, of course, slower lah, we all know that. So landed actually still picks up on the worst 10 years for Malaysian history, right? We had 2 crashes. Landed properties averagely still makes about 25% to 30%. If you are into landed properties, definitely you are into capital appreciation, right? Isn't it cool, while waiting for the capital appreciation, every month you barely bleed leh. Assuming in your 7,000 monthly repayment, about 85% of it goes to interest. The remaining debt will be the principal, right? You're only paying that principal only out from your pocket. The rest is covered by your tenant in Gamuda Gardens. A lot of people think like, oh, you're so far, who will go and rent? No. As a result, it's about 4.3% in rental yield of today's price. For those who have bought like 3 years ago, right? It'll be way cheaper, so it's easily going to be about 5.3%. Very interesting. Another special mention will be Izora Residences, also a unit that we have visited during launch. I must say, Taman Sri Permaisuri is such an underrated location. It's next to Sungai Besi, connected to Cheras Maluri. From the unit, you can actually see TRX one. The selling price is somewhat controlled for special reasons. The rental yield is 6.9%. Okay, let's call it 7, right? But the latest transacted rent, this is not asking rent, this is transacted rent, 3,000 ringgit. But your monthly installment is only going to be about 2,001. And the size is nice. The unit furnished by the Makeover guys is awesome lah. So after furnishing, I think the owner kind of want to use it for own stay instead of renting it out already lah. And I guess that's all for this special episode again. Hopefully we get to do this on a monthly basis. So do let me know what you guys think on a brand new data presentation, information approach kind of discussion to properties. Asking Sean will still be around. The property review still as usual. This special episodes will be the brand new add-ons. And I guess that's all for this episode. Thank you very much for watching. If you really like this episode, like it, share it, and even subscribe for more information like this. Do subscribe. A lot of you guys didn't subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next one. Ciao.